Hello, my name is Bill McKee. Today I want to present number 4 in my video series demonstrating how to use the McKeeTree software to record and display your family tree. Sooner or later, depending upon how large and how complicated your tree becomes, you may need to enter someone into your tree who is already in it. One example of this occurs when widows or widowers remarry into a family. If a man's widow decides to marry his brother, she will appear twice in their family tree, first as his spouse and second as his brother's spouse. Another example occurs when distant cousins marry one another. Each of the cousins will appear twice in the tree, first as blood relations to the root of the tree, and second as someone else's spouse. However it happens, you want to avoid having two different records for the same person. Apart from wasting computer space, there is the more serious potential for holding conflicting information about that person, as well as the need to create duplicate records for his or her descendants. This is where the McKeeTree software excels. It has been designed to cope with even the most complicated family relationships simply and without duplication. To demonstrate how to proceed, let's return to the family tree of the former U.S. President John F. Kennedy. Imagine that after JFK died, his widow, Jacqueline, decided to marry one of his two surviving brothers. If we were to enter her name into his spouse box, we would be creating two records for Jacqueline Bouvier. Effectively, we would have two different people named Jacqueline Bouvier in our tree. Instead of doing that, we first use the View List of Names option to find that Jacqueline is record number 8 in the tree. Then, in the spouse box, rather than enter her name, we enter her record number enclosed in square brackets, exactly as it appears in the list. When we click OK, her name appears, confirming that she has been entered as the spouse. But although Jacqueline now appears twice in the tree, only one record for her exists. As a second, purely hypothetical example, imagine that Caroline Kennedy went on to marry her cousin, Christopher Kennedy Lawford. Again, using the View List of Names option, we note that Christopher is record number 28 in the tree. In Caroline's Details page, we enter that number enclosed in square brackets, exactly as it appears in the list. When we click OK, Christopher's name appears, confirming that he has been entered as Caroline's spouse. And when we visit Christopher's Details page, we see that Caroline appears as his spouse. In this case, we avoid creating two duplicate records, one for Christopher and one for Caroline, not to mention duplicate records for any descendants. In general, when a person who is already in your tree needs to appear elsewhere, use the View List of Names option to find his or her record number, and then enter that number, enclosed by square brackets, in the relevant name field. This is how duplications can be avoided. But what if a duplication has already occurred? Is it possible to delete one of the names? Yes. If for any reason you need to remove somebody from your tree, there is a menu option for doing that called Delete Names. Anyone who is not a direct ancestor can be deleted from the tree, and removing a person will also remove any descendants. The Delete Names option will show you in advance which family members will be pruned. Finally, there may be times when, instead of deleting people, we merely need to move them around in the tree. There is also a menu option for doing that, called Reposition Names. For example, imagine that we had incorrectly entered Cara Ann Kennedy as the child of Robert and Ethel Kennedy, when she is in fact the child of Edward and Joan Kennedy. We could delete Cara Ann from the tree and then create a new record for her as the child of Edward and Joan. Alternatively, we could simply transplant her between the two family groups. Using the View List of Names option, we note the record numbers of both Edward and Joan. We then click on the Reposition Names option. Selecting Cara Ann's name from the list takes us to her details page. We delete the name of her father, Robert, and replace it with the square brackets number for Edward, 18. We delete the name of her mother, Ethel, and replace it with the square brackets number for Joan, 49. Finally, we press OK, followed by Save. The two family groups have been altered appropriately. So there you have it. In this video we have seen some of the complications which can arise while entering your tree and how the McKeeTree software helps you deal with them. Not only is it able to cope with complicated family relationships, it also provides tools for correcting errors, keeping your tree accurate and free from duplication. In the next video, we look at tools for the iPad user. Have fun, and thanks for watching.